Under the endless stretch of an African night sky, where the stars glimmered like scattered embers across a dark sea, silence hung thick over the village of Nyumbani. But that silence was never trusted. For the elders said silence was the breath of spirits, some waiting, some watching, some wandering. And on nights when the wind refused to sing through the baobab trees, the people knew something beyond the human world stirred close. It was on such a night that a tale began, a tale whispered with trembling voices, about a drum no one dared to strike, and a shadow that never belonged to its owner. But every harmony has its shadow. The elders spoke in low voices about the forbidden clearing beyond the river, where even birds refused to land. They said that clearing belonged not to the living, but to those who had crossed into the other side. In the center of that place rested an ancient drum, blackened with age, its surface glistening faintly, as if oiled with something not of this world. No one could say who had carved it, or how it came to be. They only knew it was never to be touched, for it was not a drum of music, it was a drum of summoning. Children grew up learning to look away when they passed near that place. But temptation is a snake with a soft hiss. One evening, as the moon rose like a pale eye, a boy named Kamau, proud and reckless, slipped into the clearing. His heart raced as he laid his hands upon the forbidden drum. The air grew heavier, as though the night itself was holding its breath. And when his palm struck the skin, a sound rippled through the trees, deep and unnatural, like thunder rolling beneath the earth. The echoes did not fade. They circled back, whispering his name. Long before the village learned fear, life was simple. Children's laughter rang out at dawn as they fetched water from the river, balancing clay pots upon their heads. Hunters returned proudly with antelope slung over their shoulders. Women ground maize into flour with songs that rose and fell like waves. And when the sun died beyond the horizon, firelight painted faces in gold and crimson as stories carried through the air. Every detail of Nyumbani was a piece of harmony. The thatched roofs, the rhythmic pounding of drums during festivals, the smell of roasted yams drifting on the breeze. The people lived as one, bound by tradition, and blessed by the ancestors who had walked the earth before them. Evening wide shot of the village gathering around a bonfire. Elders tell stories, hands raised dramatically, while children lean forward in awe. Kamau sits near the flames, his face half-lit, showing both pride and impatience, hinting at his reckless curiosity. Close-up of one of the elders speaking gravely about the forbidden clearing. His wrinkled face glows in firelight, eyes shadowed, as if the words themselves carry danger. Behind him, villagers whisper nervously. That single beat cracked the balance of Nyumbani. Dogs howled at shadows that moved without form. The river swelled and hissed, though no rain had fallen. Children woke screaming, claiming they saw faces pressed against their windows, eyes glowing white like burning bone. The elders gathered, faces grim, declaring that Kamau had awakened what was never meant to be disturbed. They demanded the boy confess before the ancestors. Yet even as Kamau bowed his head, trembling, strange marks began to appear across his arms, dark spirals, curling as though burned into his skin by invisible fire. From that moment, Nyumbani was no longer a village of peace. The drum beat in the night, though no one touched it, its sound low and hungry. Shadows stretched longer than their owners, lagging behind as if reluctant to return. The cattle grew thin, though they were well fed. Whispers slithered through the huts, voices of those who had died long ago, calling names in the darkness. Some villagers claimed they saw Kamau's reflection move when he stood still. Others swore they watched him speak, with no sound leaving his lips. The fear spread like wildfire. Mothers clutched their children tighter. Hunters refused to journey past the river. And still, each dawn, the drum's echo returned, pounding within the chests of all who heard it, a rhythm no heart could match. The elders declared that the ancestors had been offended. Only a ritual could restore balance, a sacrifice at the forbidden clearing to appease the spirits. Yet as preparations began, Kamau vanished from his hut, leaving only those curling spirals burned into the walls, as if his very essence had leaked into the earth. And came the night when silence fell heavier than ever before. No drum, no wind, no breath of crickets. The villagers gathered in trembling fear, firelight quivering against their faces. And then, all at once, the drum roared to life. Not a single beat, but a storm of sound, each strike like a heartbeat torn from the chest of the earth. The ground shook. The baobab trees groaned. Smoke poured from the forbidden clearing, though no fire burned. And rising with the smoke, a figure appeared, tall, cloaked in shadows, with eyes like molten ash. It carried no weapon, only the drum, slung across its body, as if it were flesh and bone. The people fell to the ground, wailing. Some called out to their ancestors, others to the sky, but no prayer reached high enough. For the figure walked with slow, measured steps, and wherever it passed, the earth blackened. The elders tried to chant, their voices breaking like brittle reeds in the wind. Yet the spirit raised its hand, and silence devoured their words. Then, with one final beat of the drum, Kamau stumbled from the smoke, his eyes hollow, his mouth open in a scream that carried no sound. His body jerked as if pulled by unseen strings, and the figure's shadow swallowed his own. The villagers wept as the boy was dragged into darkness, his cries trapped in silence, his form vanishing like dust into the night. The drum fell silent, but the echo remained, pulsing in the bones of everyone who had heard it. From that night forward, the clearing was avoided with even greater fear. No one dared speak Kamau's name, for to do so was to invite the echo closer. Crops grew again, and the cattle fattened, but peace was never whole. For on some nights, when the moon was high and pale, the faint beat of the drum could still be heard, thudding against the hearts of the living. A reminder of what happens when pride ignores warnings. And so the people of Nyumbani carried the lesson deep within them. Never strike the drum that was not meant to be played. Never summon what cannot be dismissed. For spirits do not return gifts freely given, and ancestors, once disturbed, may answer in ways the living cannot bear.